And welcome everyone to the 7th Spoilercast for The Last of Us, for the episode 7. I don't know where I was going with that. Yeah, as always, I'm Mitch. You can follow me in the link tree down below. Find the 6 YouTube channels, and of course, I'm joined by Sean.
Hey, you can join me not at Linktree on Instagram on Marvin__well.
So it's all good if you only got the one, or if you only used the one. But if you have more,
well, you know, I've had experiences with Bet Media, so no, thank you. The one is fine.
So the worst bit, like, it doesn't sound as like snappy and catchy. It's like follow me on Twitter and Instagram.
Yeah, Linktree, it just kind of combines everything. Look on Linktree, find everything you need.
Yeah, I might just stop saying the Linktree stuff. I might just do the Twitter and Instagram because it's snappier. It feels more natural. But anyway, anyway, The Last of Us, episode 7. We are 2 weeks away from this ending, and yeah.
So far, so good. Right?
I thought, I'm gonna put it out here now. I wasn't the biggest fan of the Left Behind DLC, which this is just one-for-one copying. You can tell that Druckmann was the writer on this one, and he was the sole writer on this one. You can really tell. Not in a bad way. I wasn't the biggest fan of that. I thought it was well done in the game and all this and all that, but it felt very tacked on. Because obviously it comes afterwards. You do the game, you do the ending, bang, you then get this
flashback.
Yeah, it's like, well, it's nice, but
the obligatory flashback.
Yeah, it's also not the most interesting thing to play because he's just walking around a mall.
It's all dialogue.
It's like, okay, this is great dialogue, great stuff. But it works infinitely better for TV.
Yeah, I was gonna. It plays well. I actually watched the. So when this started, kind of like I don't have time to play the game all the time, so I just watched videos, and I watched a video specifically for this because I was told that this was a add-on, pack, DLC, and I watched it. I was like, this plays much better for television versus the TV because
100%, 100%.
Yeah, because like when you're playing the game, you want more interaction, and you didn't really get that. There's no ship making or nothing, But with the TV, it works a lot better because that's what it's made for, is dialogue. And I'm gonna say this right now. This is continuing the trend for me on how good the show is. I really love this episode too. It was very emotional.
Yeah, it helps as well that it has context now, right? Like before, it was just a case of, this is Ellie's, it's just a little backstory of how she got bit and all that. You didn't need it in the original.
Yeah,
and you don't need that story here, but it's not about that. No, it's it's a nice bit of character development for Ellie, who hasn't really had much in this show. It's all primarily on Joel.
It's all been lip service with her, you hear things.
Yeah, but this without directly linking, like outright saying everything. It's the context for the stuff Ellie's been saying throughout the show, right? Like it's like, I've killed someone before. I've done this. I've done that, and this, her asking Joel, like, are you still in there? Is you infected, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, here's the reason why she's asking those questions. But on the flip side as well, it's her having that connection to Joel, right? She's like, no, I don't want to leave behind. Like, I've got a chance to save someone here again. Now I can.
She's fixing a mistake that she made.
Exactly.
In her mind.
Yeah, it's she had to. She's obviously shot Riley to stop her from being affected. She couldn't save Sam.
Yeah.
So now she's got a chance to save someone, and she's gonna. Has that slight bit of redemption.
Yeah, to me, what I loved about the episode was it gave me the vibes of the Bill and Frank episode vibe. Like it was like, it wasn't really about. It was more about her and her character development, but it also sprinkled in her backstory and like who she really is and stuff like that, and like. I think she's infinitely more interesting in the show than she is in the game, because the game she's all like you know, like, and not to spare the game or anything like that, but like I feel like if the show came out first and the game was based on the show, I would be like kind of disappointed to play the game, you know.
Oh, hard. I think I disagree on that one. I think it's a hard disagree. Yeah.
First disagree of the show. Like,
it might be because the game came first, right?
Yeah, and you got a connection to the game. I don't have a real connection to the game. My connection to the game is watching the show. So, you know,
because but she's the characters are essentially the same, right? They're written exactly the same. There might be some slight characteristic differences, like how they act.
Minor,
not necessarily how they act, but for the most part, they're all the same.
They all line up, but there's also minor changes that kind of differentiate the game from the show. You know, like, so there is, like like I said,
or at least for me, from my memory of it, right? That's the what differentiates is more the plot.
Yeah, well, I think what I mean by that, I don't mean the characterization is different, but I feel like the expanding on the origins of certain characters that is the differentiate from the game and the show, you know, and like that is what I think makes the show a little bit better in my opinion, because like you get these minuscule characters that mean a little too, but like their emotion, you get emotionally attached to them, like Frank and Bill, you know, like in the game, very little time in the game, right? But like they both had more time in the show than they ever did in the game.
Yeah,
and
well,
that's what makes.
I'm trying to remember which way around they are now. Frank isn't in the game at all. It's all Bill, but you do spend a good few hours with Bill. You spend a good few hours with all of them because games you spend more time with everyone because the game's just longer. You can't. There's no like way around that. It's different mediums. Games have more time to do this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But I definitely think Bill and Frank in the show are far better than Bill and Frank.
They're more fleshed out than they are in
See, I don't know if I just don't like the saying it's more fleshed out, because it's like Frank's definitely more fleshed out, but I don't know if Bill's more fleshed out. Because you spend so much time with, you spend at least double the amount of time with Bill in the game you do in the show.
Yeah, well, Frank's a non-character anyways in the game, right? He's just a name or a picture, you know, versus...
He's a hanging corpse, but yeah.
Yeah.
Spoilers, by the way. You find him hanging from a tree.
but I mean, like, you know, you spend more time with Bill versus that's what I love about, like,
as a
shows,
couple,
like,
they're infinitely more fleshed out in the show, infinitely more.
Well, I mean, it's like even the backstory on the characters are more expanded upon, you know, and that's what I think by the end of the series you're gonna get there's gonna be a new argument, I'm sure, that starts up. What's better, the game or the show or the TV or whatever, you know, like, versus.
Oh, that's gonna be a short argument. People are gonna say the game, 100%.
But I mean, like, I think by the end of the series, hopefully, I'm getting good vibes from the series so far. I don't think I've ever had a moment in the show that I've kind of looked away, you know, intentionally. But like, so far, this is like, I think this breaks the video game curse, you know.
Oh, it 100% does, yeah. Well,
so far, you know.
You know what? I'm going to retract that, because one win does not break a curse for me personally. There's always an exception to the rule. And if The Last of Us is the exception to the rule, the curse is still there. I know people are going to say Sonic, Detective Pikachu, and all this. They are fine. They are mid. They are perfectly mediocre. Now, if Mario comes out and smashes the crap out of everything, yes. We're on our way to this curse being broken.
Like, I think Sonic and Pikachu are flukes. I don't think they're, like...
I think they're perfectly mediocre. People hype them up, but it's like, you know what, they're there, they're fine. No.
They're fun to watch, but they're not, like, there's no substance there in any of it. You know? Like, it's just you know, it's more of a visual, you know, thing with those movies. But with this, there's an actual substance to the show. You know, like, there's actually something to say, versus like, oh, this looks really cool. It looks exactly like the game. This is exactly what they do in the game, you know, or whatnot.
It's just like, hey, look, a Bulbasaur. That's my boy. To be fair, that movie got points to me just for the Bulbasaur bit like that.
Yeah, that was very ballsy of them for sure. But yeah, I continue to love the show. My wife finally agreed to watch, and she's like now hooked. Like it's because it's one of the few things we can actually enjoy together. That she actually doesn't roll her eyes at like every superhero movie ever made her watch. I now have a friend that specifically we just go to see these movies because I know my wife will never watch these movies in the theater. So
this is the way to do it. Yeah.
I mean, it's the but I mean if can't be lucky to find one that actually likes it, then you have to find one that tolerates it,
Yeah, or hey, there's nothing wrong with it. Go watch them by yourself.
Yeah, or just doesn't roll their eyes every time I mention the word.
Oh yeah.
Captain America. But yeah, every time I watch the show, I kind of like go, is this the episode that really either breaks me or like I continue to get more engaged and more engaged. Like I kind of am on pins and needles half the time when I'm watching these episodes because I'm like, I'm hoping this is the episode that doesn't screw the pooch, if that's okay to say.
I think it is. I'm gonna leave it in there anyway. Yeah.
But and it's understandably because like every other movie that's based on a video game always has that either an episode or a scene where it just goes completely. Like it goes good up to that point, and then it's just kind of
telling you if it's gonna happen. That's the last episode. Telling you right now.
Yeah, I'm still on pins and needles half the time, but like I'm starting to give the benefit of the doubt for the show because it's like this. I think the show earned it this far, to give me that. Yeah,
I mean, it's got the benefit of the doubt, but it's a looming like it's there. That guillotine's ready to drop. Like, are they going to drop the ball? Like, I hope they don't. I don't think they will.
I hope they don't either because it's like if it's so good, nobody remembers a half of a good season. They always remember the bad episode at the end.
Yeah,
that's the one they always talk about. They never talk about those episodes that were great up to that point. So I mean,
it's like Luke Cage season 1, right? Like people. You get the occasional person remembering the first half, but everyone's like, "Oh, the second half."
I will not take personal offense to that statement.
Or Daredevil season 2. No.
I will not take personal offense to anything that resembles that.
Punisher stuff, fantastic.
No.
The second half, kind of bad. Not that I watched it in a good while, but my memory, being distant from it, doesn't remember it fondly.
Heads and tails better than anything CW's ever put out. So.
Oh, I'm not saying it's not, but that doesn't change anything. Both can be true.
It's true.
Both can be true.
I always acknowledge the fact that there's gleaming, like there was problems in those shows.
I always put it down to Netflix and budgetary constraints.
I completely agree with you. I hate those people. I hate dealing with those people.
I know. This. I'm trying to think where they go next. Because I don't watch the previews for next week, so I can't. I got no idea where they go next.
I don't. I like to be surprised. So like, I didn't really. I try to avoid those. Like, because it like sometimes those things really spoil like what's coming. 15-second shorts. Like like it spoils that one moment that like is the spotlight on the show.
Yeah, because I've seen a couple of videos of people talking about this, and I know at one point we're supposed to get like Ellie's mum in this show, so I assume there's a flashback next. It has to be either next week or the week after. Spoilers, 2 weeks left, so of course it's got to be either one. But I can't remember her mum being in the game, so they're changing stuff up, or at least doing something different. But
yeah, I mean, TV, man. Like, there's always. I always say there's always got to be at least some deviation when it comes to developing this thing. We will see.
Yeah, I will say I think out of it, I enjoyed this episode. I enjoyed how they handled the the one stalker and all that going around, and
yeah,
they brought it up and then let you kind of forget it and then kept faking you out to when it's actually coming. But
yeah,
no,
it was a little suspenseful when I was watching.
I think they handled the tension well, even if you could argue that it came off a bit TV. But I don't think there was many infected in the DLC.
Yeah.
I mean, all I remember is that DLC was just walking around the mall and there's like a gunfight and something like that.
I'm super glad they didn't go that usual thing where it's like a bunch of them trapped in a closet.
Yeah.
You know, like that to me is just kind of played out, and it would have been kind of a role.
Especially when it's two teenage or two young kids, right? There's the one's enough. The one's
I was gonna say, like, one is plenty when it comes to people like that. Like they weren't prepared. You know, they didn't have any. I mean, I'm sure they had weapons, but like they're young kids.
Riley had a gun, so
yeah, but she was young and she was green. She didn't know what she was doing.
True.
She's barely.
And Ellie had the shiv because she shifted it in the head.
But I like the whole thing. Like the tension for me was like it just like the whole time they were just like the guard was down the whole entire episode.
Yeah.
And then just that one moment, like, but
that one little moment of weakness, and it's all gone.
But and then also like the moment where it didn't really the romantic feelings towards each other wasn't like obligatory, where I was just like so there, it was just hinted at, and that one little kiss, and that's it. It wasn't like this full on like I love you moment,
Yeah, it was done well. It's
it was subtle.
Yeah, it should be how any
romance
moment like that is handled, to be honest.
Yeah, it's like they're teenagers, they don't know what they're feeling. Like they don't know how they feel, so like like anytime you see them prepared, like in TV or movies, where like they got this whole speech ready for the for their person to death.
So no one acts like that.
Yeah, did you just write this down and memorize it like before? Did you know this was gonna happen? Like I don't think I've ever had a moment in my entire life when something like that. I never knew what I was gonna say to people when I was put in a situation.
No one ever does. No one ever does.
But I don't know. I thought it was handled well.
Yeah, no, I definitely enjoyed how it was handled. I thought the tension when it was great. I thought the characterization was great.
Yeah.
And for Druckmann just to be the sole writer in this, I thought like he did a damn good job.
Yeah.
It didn't feel there wasn't like any inconsistencies with the other episodes. It was just like bam.
Yeah. Well, I think this is like we were talking about a while back. I think this is kind of a redemption for him. Like he's gotten like really bad criticism, and maybe he took it to heart. And like maybe when they were going to make the show, he wanted to do this so bad that like kind of redeem his mistakes, in the show.
I mean, the only time he's going to have a chance to do that is the next season. He ain't getting that from this. Not a chance. Not a chance. You'd have to. Well, for people that didn't like that moment, he would have to do it next.
I mean, I think that moment's probably been haunting him for years. Like how am I gonna like how is this gonna like how am I gonna improve this moment to like appease my fan base? And like I would say you can't, man. No, you're not gonna appease everybody. So it's do what you feel.
I want him to go into season 2 and just do it exactly the same. Don't change. Double down on it. Don't change anything. Be like, no, this is my story. Well, not necessarily his story. He is only the on the game.
Own
so
it,
Yeah. Lean
wear it like
it.
a badge. Yeah, like like at this point, anybody that has played the game, either you like it, you don't, and you're not watching it. So you're not going to turn these people's opinion. Like I have a friend that has like refused to watch the show because he didn't like the how the part 2 was handled. So like you're not going to get these people back at all.
Exactly.
So don't try.
Yeah.
Don't try. Like you can't. It's a losing battle. Just do do what you feel is good and just leave it on the paper. You know, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
Exactly. Everyone's gonna buy if they do a part. Well, I say when they do a part 3, everyone's just gonna buy it. Everyone's gonna get it. Doesn't matter how 2 was received. People are gonna get 3. It's just the way it works.
Yeah, that's how consumerism works.
Yeah, but right, I think that's gonna do it for this one. This, it's. I don't want to say it's filler, but it's not. There's not a lot in this episode really to.
It's not pivotal to the bigger story, so it's just
It's a nice. It's a pure character moment for Ellie,
or a companion piece.
Yeah. Oh, actually, no. I do remember what happens next week. Yeah, that's what happens. Yeah, I know exactly where we're going now. Right? Yeah, cool. I'm back on track. My brain, my memory bank decided to turn on, and so yeah. All right, cool. I know exactly where we go.
Memory palace kicked in.
So yeah, we'll catch you next week, or depending on what order these come out in, because Spoilers, another show came out this week, and we're going to talk about that now. So yeah, catch you next time. So bye bye.
Bye bye.